Let me ask you a question. What if the only thing holding you back was the story you tell yourself? Today, I want to share with you a powerful story. A story of a man who discovered that when your mindset changes, your whole life begins to rise. And maybe, just maybe, this story is the message your heart needs today. Picture a busy street, cars passing, people rushing. And on the corner, a man sits alone, head down, hands stretched out, begging for coins and hoping for kindness. Not because he wants that life, but because he believes that's all he deserves. This man lived every day the same way, same spot, same clothes, same hopelessness. But his real prison wasn't the sidewalk. It wasn't his empty pockets, it wasn't his circumstances. His real prison was his mindset. He believed he was worthless. He believed he had no future. He believed life had passed him by. And isn't it true that sometimes we also live like spiritual beggars? We forget we are children of God, sons and daughters of a Father who owns everything. When belief becomes small, life becomes smaller. But one day, something happened that changed everything. A man walked by, just another stranger in the crowd. But instead of dropping a coin and walking away, he stopped. He looked straight into the beggar's eyes. And he said words the beggar had never heard before. Stand up. You are worth more than the ground you're sitting on. The beggar froze. He wasn't sure if he should believe it, because when you've lived your whole life thinking you're nothing, hope feels dangerous. But sometimes, God sends someone to remind you of the truth you forgot. And the question is not, is it true? The question is, will you believe it? The beggar slowly stood up. Not because his situation changed, but because something inside him shifted for the first time. He allowed himself to believe he might be more than his past. He took a step, then another. Not away from the street, but away from the identity that kept him there. He looked for small opportunities, little jobs, ways to help, ways to earn, ways to grow. And something amazing began to happen. People started treating him differently. Not because they changed, but because he changed. Your life rises to the level of your identity. When you see yourself as capable, you start acting capable. When you see yourself as valuable, you start protecting your value. When you see yourself as God sees you, you begin to walk in purpose. Life is like construction. If your foundation is weak, your future will crack. If your mindset is broken, your decisions will follow. But this man began rebuilding his life, not in a day, but one step at a time. He formed new habits. He learned new skills. He surrounded himself with people who believed in him. He replaced begging with becoming. He stopped waiting for help and started working with what he had. He refused to let his past dictate his future. And maybe this is what someone listening right now needs to hear. Action activates aspiration. Dreams don't move unless you do. As time passed, the beggar didn't just earn money, he earned dignity. He earned confidence. He earned purpose. He became someone who could help others, someone who could lift others, someone who could speak life into people who were where he once was. He moved from receiver to giver, from overlooked to overcomer, from hopeless to hopeful. That's what happens when you shift from a slave mindset to a child of God mindset. You stop surviving and you start thriving. And now, I want to ask you a question. What belief is holding you back? And what would happen if you replaced that belief with God's truth, my friend? Don't settle for a life of emotional or spiritual begging. Stand up, believe again, build again, become again. Because when God rebuilds your foundation, your whole life begins to rise. Now I want to hear from you. Comment below, what mindset do you want God to change in your life? If this story blessed you, share it with someone who needs hope today. And may the Lord bless your foundation, renew your mind, and restore your future.